Hi, this is Dan here. I hope you're doing really well today. I've got a really great rhythm exercise for you today, and it's all about 5 different time signatures. And let's start off with what a time signature is, because it's really important for bass players to be very in command of your rhythm, which is slightly different to timing. You need to feel rhythms and then work on playing them in time. So look, let's look at this. We've got 4/4, 3/4, 5/4, 12/8. And 7/16, and those are time signatures. And it gets quite scary at the end there with the 7/16, which is very unusual. You probably will never see that. But let's start off with 4/4. The top number just tells you how many beats there are in a bar or a measure. Bar and measure mean the same thing. And the bottom number tells you what type of beats. So we have quarter notes that are like this. And the most common time signature is 4/4, where we have 4 quarter notes in every bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this is essential for you because a lot of music is in 4/4, but you've got to be tapping your foot on quarters, 1, 2, 3, 4, and just counting in your head to 4 each time. But you need to be able to subdivide every single bar as well. This is not really what this lesson is about, but if you've got quarters, 1, 2, 3, 4, then you've got eighths, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then 16ths, 1E and a 2E and there's a few different ways of counting that. You just got 4 in every beat. Okay, so that's 4, 4. I'm going to show you the pattern here in a minute as well. And it's only one pattern throughout the entire exercise. 3/4. So remember the top number said how many beats there are in a bar? Well, 3 is 3 quarter note beats in a bar. You have to be very precise about the type of the beat, and that's the bottom number. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like a waltz. It's got a different feel to 4/4. And this is kind of, time signatures describe meter, this word meter, which describes how beats are organized into little groups. And that's what this is all about, really. And as a bass player, it's very important to understand a few different feels. 5/4, 5 quarter notes in a beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slightly awkward one, that one, especially if you're used to counting in 4. But that is not very common, but you might see it every now and again. Then we have 12/8. It's one of my favorite time signatures, this. So we've got 12, the top number. You have 12 beats in a bar, except now you have an 8 underneath. And that means 8th note. So remember before we had quarters? Well, eighths were 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So it's 12 of those ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You wouldn't count like that because it's just too much. In fact, you would just count 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Except in every beat there's 3, which makes 12 in total. So it's like, you know, however you count this and feel this is sort of up to you. But I'm just tapping my foot for this time signature. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I'm really very, very strongly feeling this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And you get this like, Stevie Wonder did a lot of 12/8 kind of stuff, and it feels really, really great. So that's 12/8, very common one. You should definitely know that one. And I put 7/16 in there just to show you that, I mean, once you understand the concept, it's not too bad. The top number is 7, so you've got 7 beats in a bar. And this time it's 16th notes. So you've got 7 16ths in a bar. Remember 16ths were in 4/4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got 4 in every beat. So it's 7 of those. And that's really weird to count. But if you look at the notation, not the tab, the notation, you'll see I've grouped the first bar, I've grouped a 4 and a 3. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, which adds up to 7. Then the next bar, I want it to be felt as a 3 and a 4. So I've written it grouped in 3 and a 4. So that's what you're doing. You're kind of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's kind of how I do it in my head, and you get this really interesting feel. I played it all the way through from the beginning to the end, and I've got backing tracks for you to download. I've got there's always a 2-bar count in to get you ready. Then I've got just the click, and that cycles round. I've got just the drums, and then I've got what you heard, which is drums and metronome. So do download that and the PDF, give it a go. Let me show you the pattern. At the end of the lesson, I'll show you how to adapt things to make this sound a little less monotonous. But we're on E, 7th fret of the A string, and that's the root note. Go 2 across and 1 string down to the 9th, and you've got a B. That's the 5th, okay? Very common bass pattern there. This whole thing is actually. That's a flat 7. It's the D on the 7th fret of the G string. And that's the octave. Now I'm playing the octave with my little finger. I find that it keeps the wrist a lot straighter when I do that. But you can use your 3rd finger if you so wish. In terms of plucking, when I'm doing this, I'm not really thinking about it too much. Let me just play the first 4/4 example for you. There's a little bit of raking. Raking is where you use one finger, be it the index or the middle, to pluck and then pluck the next string. And when you're going from sort of a high-pitched string to a D, to like a lower one, so in this direction of G, D, A, and E, that's where you rake. So you can use either your middle or your index or combination. So I'm going alternate plucking, but mixing things up a bit. I mean, I even went index there. You know, this is technically wrong. If you know, people would advocate to do alternate all the time, but you can do different things. It's absolutely no problem. So that's the rhythm, or those are the notes, sorry, that we've got, okay? And I'll go through each of them now for you. And what I recommend that you do is just set your metronome to whatever tempo you're comfortable with and just stick to the 4/4 on its own, okay? And this is how it goes. It's just that. And I'm tapping my foot, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's quite fast, actually. I think it's 140 beats per minute. You can get some reading practice in as well, because you've got a quarter note and then the little thing that looks a little bit like a 7. That is on the beat and it's a rest. So your foot taps, you play nothing. And the other note there with a little tail, that's an 8th note, and you play that on the up beat, okay? So if you're tapping your foot and it hits the floor, that's the beat. When it comes up, that's the off beat. That's where you want to catch it. So it's imperative to count as a bass player. Absolutely is. So make sure you tap your foot, and you've got to be feeling these beats. They've got to become natural, and that's part of this process of practicing. So all of those notes, apart from after the first one, are off the beat. Da, 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 da. So it's 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And if you're counting like that, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and the ands are off beats. So however you count, whether it's like that, or you do what I do, which is just that you religiously count, and then you're feeling like 1, 2, 1, 2, just 2 8ths in every beat. And you're very aware where the beats are easy because they're just where your foot taps. The off beats are a little bit more difficult, but once you get it, very easy as well. It's just, you know, when your foot comes up. Okay, so it goes like this. And then it goes. Okay, that's the 4/4. Then we move to 3/4. And now I'm tapping my foot the same. It just is the case that now we've got 3 in every bar. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. But you've got to be very aware where beat 1 is, and it goes like this. Starts off the same, actually. Now, at that point, we've done the bar. And that is the next bar. 2, 3, 1. It's got a different feel. We talk about feel a lot as bass players, as well as rhythm and as well as timing. Your understanding of rhythm is a little bit different to timing. When we're talking about timing, we're talking about like getting something like this and playing it bang in time, which is where your metronome and your drum beat comes into play. When you practice with that, you're working on the timing, but doesn't necessarily work on your sense of rhythm and meter, and that's to do with practicing different time signatures like this. Okay, let's go to 5/4. So it's da, da, da. It starts off exactly the same and then tagged on to the end. I'm using the same finger to roll. I'm on the 9th fret of the D string. You can roll like this. So I'm playing on the fingertip, the 9th fret of the D string, and then just rolling down to that first crease onto the 9th fret of the G string. Do that with a 3rd, or the little. I suppose you could also go 3 and 4. There's lots of ways of doing the same thing, so don't worry too much if you do something different. It's good reading practice as well. You don't have to read as a bass player, but it's an excellent thing to do, especially to study rhythms, you know, because when you've got 2/8 notes together, they're beamed like this. And when you see that, you know that's the rhythm. If you've got 2 sets of that, da, 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 da. Okay, so here we go. Next bar is similar, except you've got 2 quarter notes, and those 2 sort of blob stalk with no tail, that's a quarter note. Then those 2 bars repeat itself. So again. If you look at tab, and you're not a reader, but you look at tab, the tab tells you nothing about the rhythm. If you don't know a bass line, you're stuck with tab, okay? With notes and rhythms, you get the entire picture. And I understand that that's hard to do if you don't know it, but I do urge you to learn to read music. I've got a few videos on basic rhythms, but it really is not that difficult once you get it. And you remember I told you that we've got those notes there? Well, the lowest sounding in pitch of the note is the one that's lowest down on the musical stave, which is those lines, 5 lines, 4 spaces. And the highest one is the highest up. So after a while, you can see the shape of the line, and if you know what the pattern is under your fingers like this, it all kind of comes together after a while. You just have to trust me on that. It does. 12/8, let's go to that. So now I'm kind of looking at groups of 3. It goes like this. Tapping my foot like this. I love this feel. It reminds me of Stevie Wonder every time. So you're tapping your foot and you're thinking that. So here we go. I'll show you how to do fills and some alterations in a minute. Let's just quickly tackle this nightmarish looking 7/16. Remember that's 7/16 notes in a bar. Count them. You can see how things are made quite easy for you if you can read, because you've got the 4 and the 3. Then in the second bar or measure, you've got the 3 and the 4. It's the same notes though, these ones. Very slowly. And I very much, whether I'm reading or not, and I'm taking a hard riff like this, I learn it in little blocks. So that's 1 block. The 4, that's 1 block, okay? And then I learn the next block, which is that. So then frets 9, 7, and a 9, and 9. Combine them, but slow it down. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's it. If you're counting like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. You've got to hit the 1 in time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. You get this sort of lilting. You get it after a while. Anyway. And then the next bar is you have a 3 and a 4. So my block would be root 5 octave. I'm doing that rolling thing. Always having the next finger ready to go before it's needed. So keep an eye on this 7th fret here. Watch this. After I've fretted the initial E, see how that finger is already on the move? Bang, it's there ready. So this is the second bar. So that's what you got, a 4 and a 3, and then a 3 and a 4. And you get this very interesting feel with this, okay? Now the ultimate thing, actually, let me say for that one, if you could get your metronome going on 16ths, and what I did, you can even do this in if you've got Logic or GarageBand or something like that. I just set up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 4, 4. I made the first one a little bit higher, so it's like tick, 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 so you can hear where the first beat is. That's quite a good thing to practice. Most metronomes, digital ones, do that anyway. They put the first beat as a higher pitch, so you can, if you get lost, you know where it is, okay? And so for 16ths, you go, and just slow it down. And just take each line as it comes. The ultimate goal for this, and don't worry if you're miles away from this, because actually I got a bit carried away last night when I was writing this, and I thought it's actually a really good exercise, really fun exercise for you. But that would be a challenge to to press play on my backing and just go from the beginning to the end and then repeat it. Okay, that's a really good thing to switch between these time signatures. It's not very real world music unless you're really into progressive rock, where you might hear different time signatures. But I just want to quickly show you how you might alter things a little bit. So let's do the 4/4. Take the same pattern, go to A. In fact, take the same pattern and go anywhere. And it's kind of a minor thing, so you might take a minor pentatonic scale if you know that. If not, I'll put a link to it. I'm in 12/8. You can literally move the same patterns around, and that will break you out of just being in one place. Okay, there's a lot here. You've got a link below to download the PDF and the notation tab, those 3 backing tracks. You can watch this video again. You can set this as, you know, something to be able to master in the future. But I mentioned reading, so yeah, hopefully that might spark your interest to dive into reading a bit. If you can read music, you can teach yourself so many things. You can buy books or go onto the internet and look at lots of different pieces of music, and you're never going to run out of ideas for practice. Okay, this isn't really a reading exercise, but study of rhythm is much easier if you can read. Okay, so I do urge you to do that. But I hope you enjoyed that. If you do have any questions, let me know. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.